get up?
I can't remember. I was never ready to get up. Never. Well, I started school when I was 5, and you imagine a 5-year-old, and I had to go on that bus at 8. I never got back till 5. That was a long time. And the old buses that we had, I had some pictures in there, big old straight sides like this on them, and there was the seats run across this way, you know, just like a bench on each side, and the heat was from the exhaust was running underneath the seats. That was our heat, and I rode that for 12 years.
You mean the benches were right up against the wall?
Yes.
I'll be darned. Kind of like a prison bus or something.
Yeah, just about, and all black.
Yeah. Do you remember the bus driver's name?
Yeah, old, first man, I went to a funeral. First time I ever went to a funeral when he died. I think I had nightmares over that for a long time, just seeing somebody in the casket. But I can't think of his name.
Did you like the bus driver? Was he nice? Was he a good man?
Oh, yeah.
Good too? Yeah.
There aren't very many, I could never say it wasn't anybody I didn't like. Never.
Yeah. And then, when did you first drive a car?
We had the Little Willie's night. I was probably about a junior in high school.
You drove in high school?
Oh yeah, my brother took me out and taught me that. We didn't have any problems.
Was it Jeep?
No. Nice little Willie's night with a rumble seat.
A Willie's what?
Willie's night.
Night.
It had a rumble seat in it. You remember that when they had those?
I remember that when they had those.
And it was a little green one.
Yeah.
And it was a family car?
Yeah. We didn't keep that one too long because that wasn't very much room. But at that time, I think there was just my younger brother and I that were home.
I see.
But my dad always had an old Studebaker. He always was great for Studebakers. We always had a car.
Yeah.
My family did.
Because you had to get into town.
Yeah, well, sure.
How far from Twin Bridges did you live?
About 8 miles.
Okay. And that would have been southwest of Twin Bridges?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it'd be north. We'd go south to go to Dillon.
Yeah.
It'd be north.
Northwest?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Did you ride horses, or was that kind of the boys'
I
thing
did
too?
some, but not very much. My brothers did. Like I said, I never learned to milk a cow. I used to have bum lambs. I'd get the Noviches had lambs, you know. So once I'd get the lamb and bring it in, I'd have all the milk from the cows, so I'd feed the lambs. When I went to school, I wanted to be a teacher in the worst way, but we had no money to go to college. No way. So this woman come through telling about this school in Great Falls, commercial college. Well, I could go up there, and I worked from my board and room, and I walked 16 blocks going forth down to Great Falls to go to college. But anyhow, it was $200, that's what it cost me. So as quick as I was gone, my dad sold those sheep. I had 20 sheep by then. He had enough to pay. That's what paid for me to go to Great Falls to go to the commercial college. And I worked for my board and room to go to school.
Where was that at in Great Falls?
It was right on Central Avenue, right over top of Penny's at that time.
Oh, okay.
On 5th Street.
Okay.
So then when I went to work, I got $50 a month. That was my pay. So I had to keep on working for my board and room in order to get by for about
2 years?
It wasn't too long. I don't remember. It was less than a year, then I got married.
Now, and they taught you mainly how to run an office and that type of stuff?
Bookkeeping.
Bookkeeping?
I like bookkeeping.
Yeah.
That's what I did there. They came up to the commercial college to ask for somebody, to get somebody to go down and work. They took me right from the school. He took me right down and put me to work.
Huh.
At $50 a month.
That's pretty cool. And you were a high school graduate when you went up there?
Oh, yeah.
From Twin Bridges?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think there's an awfully big story in the instructions you gave all those kids But how would we ever recreate that? You'd have to ask them probably.
Well, it's a good bunch of kids, you ask Art.
It's a good bunch
I'm
of
so
kids.
proud of them all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
They sure accepted me into the family too, with open arms.
yeah,
Yeah, they did.
good bunch.
Yeah.
But like I said, they didn't get too much training. And as far as church training, we just didn't get into that. I always said the golden rule will get you through. Do unto others as they would do unto you, and it works.
Yeah. But the kids weren't, you weren't able to keep them isolated here in Butte. I mean, there was so much going on, they had to be involved in
Oh,
every,
yeah.
every conceivable
They were.
social challenge.
Never had problems.
They come home and tell you all this weird stuff going on in their lives and talk about it, or,
Some of it, there wasn't that much. Well, see, the last one to graduate was Sally in '67. So you see, that's quite a while, yeah, quite a
Yeah.
while.
just took it all in stride. Well, Art, you wanted to talk for a minute about being on the planning board.
Yeah, I'll sit over in that chair there. Okay.
Now, this is the band in Rochester?
Uh-huh.
Unbelievable.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, that's cool.
After we talked about the planning board, and Neil asked me something about the planning board, and I was kind of confused about it, and I was embarrassed, in fact, because what we did at the planning board, and I couldn't answer it, so it bothered me for a couple of nights after that, and I got to thinking of it, and I regenerated and remembered what I had forgot, and as I'm going to tell a little bit more about the planning board, I stand to be corrected on all the things I did in the previous tape, of course, because it was just at the spur of the moment I did it. But anyway, I'd like to show you this picture of the planning board, if I may.
Okay.
And starting,
Now, what year would this be, Art?
this is about 1952 or so.
Okay,
And
1952.
starting here on the planning board, left to right, was Francis McGann,
Uh-huh.
and then Art Korn, James Keyes, Jimmy Shea, Ed Leipheimer, County Commissioner Willis Gary, Gene Daly, Frank Gorsh, and Jimmy Shea, the mayor of Walkerville,
Okay.
in that picture there. And so a further correction was that I was not on the planning board for 20 years. I was on the planning board for 4 years, and I was on the Democratic committee when we first started for 20 years, so we just reversed around. When we had the planning board, the first thing we did when we joined was to find out from the Chamber of Commerce how the other cities liked it, and then how, if they had any planning board, like Great Falls and different places like that, what their thoughts were about the planning board and everything else. Well, by the time we got that generated, it was about 2 years past, because we only went once a month. And I will say this much, this was a good bunch. I don't think there was ever a meeting that we had in 1 year that we didn't have a full quorum. I mean, everybody was concerned about planning in Butte. Of course, we had a lot of criticism about it. But I do remember that when we started, the first thing we decided was that we would, because the flow of traffic was going, because the west side was predominantly the better part of Butte and mostly populated. So it seemed like everybody from the west side was coming in and going right directly west on Butte, on Park Street. So we recommended that one-way traffic on Park Street, and then we recommended that that'd be going east on Park Street, and then going west on Broadway and west on Galena. Now the reason for that is that Galena Street in that year was pretty well covered with businesses. Eddie Price had a car agency on Galena Street. I'm not sure whether Leipheimer, I'm not sure whether Lescovar had one on Galena, but then Howard, a fellow named Howard, I don't know his first name, last name, had the Buick agency where the Gold Rush Casino is. And then on the next corner was the Pawnee cleaning house, stuff like that. So there's a lot of business on Galena Street at that time, so that's why we recommended going west on Galena Street. So there was east on Park, west on Galena, and west on Broadway.